before there was Olympus, before Zeus hurled lightning from the heavens, before Poseidon ruled the seas or Hades claimed the underworld, there was nothing. No earth, no sky, no oceans, no stars illuminating the darkness, no time, no life, only chaos. Not chaos as we understand it today, not disorder or confusion, but an endless, silent void stretching beyond imagination. Ancient Greeks believed this was the beginning of everything, an infinite emptiness where neither light nor darkness truly existed. There were no directions, no seasons, no life, and no death. The universe had yet to awaken. Then, from this boundless emptiness, something extraordinary happened. Without warning, without creator, without command, existence itself began to take shape. The first being to emerge was Gaia, the earth. She was not born from parents, nor was she crafted by divine hands. She simply came into existence, solid and eternal, becoming the foundation upon which all life would eventually flourish. Where chaos was empty, Gaia was fertile. Where chaos was silent, Gaia promised life. Mountains rested within her body. Valleys stretched across her skin. Deep beneath her lay hidden caverns that would one day imprison monsters and titans alike. But Gaia was alone. The universe still lacked balance. Soon another primordial force appeared. Uranus, the sky. He stretched endlessly above Gaia, covering her like a magnificent dome filled with infinite possibilities. Every night he embraced the earth, and from their union came the first great generation of divine beings. Their children were unlike anything the universe had ever seen. First came the 12 Titans. These enormous beings represented the raw forces of existence. Oceanus ruled the endless waters. Hyperion embodied heavenly light. Coeus represented wisdom. Crius governed the stars. Iapetus would become the father of mankind's greatest benefactor. And among them stood one titan destined to change history forever. Cronus, powerful, ambitious, patient. But the titans were not Gaia's only children. She also gave birth to the Cyclopes, 3 gigantic beings with a single blazing eye in the center of their foreheads. Though terrifying in appearance, they possessed unmatched craftsmanship. One day they would forge weapons capable of changing the destiny of the universe. Yet even stranger were Gaia's final children, the Hecatoncheires, 3 colossal giants, each possessing 100 mighty arms and 50 fearsome heads. They were living embodiments of unstoppable force. Their roar could shake mountains. Their footsteps echoed across the newborn earth. Even the gods would one day fear them. But instead of celebrating his extraordinary children, Uranus was horrified. Every time he looked upon the Cyclopes and the Hecatoncheires, he saw only monsters. Ashamed of them, terrified by their strength, he forced them into the deepest parts of Gaia herself. Imagine the pain. A mother watching her own children imprisoned inside her body, day after day, century after century. Gaia endured unimaginable suffering. The cries of her imprisoned children echoed through the earth. Mountains trembled, volcanoes stirred. The world itself seemed to mourn. Eventually, Gaia could endure no longer. She gathered her Titan sons and spoke with a voice filled with sorrow and fury. "My children," she said, "your father has become a tyrant. Who among you will stand against him?" Silence followed. The Titans exchanged nervous glances. No one dared challenge Uranus. His power seemed limitless, until one Titan stepped forward, Cronus. Unlike his brothers, Cronus was fearless, or perhaps he was simply more ambitious. Gaia smiled. She forged a mighty sickle from the strongest metal the universe had yet produced. Its blade shimmered with supernatural power. She placed it into Cronus's hands. "When your father descends tonight," she whispered, "strike." Night fell. As Uranus stretched across the heavens to embrace Gaia once more, Cronus waited in darkness, hidden, silent, patient. Then he attacked. The blow echoed across creation. With one swift strike, Cronus overthrew his father. The reign of Uranus ended. The sky retreated forever from the earth, creating the vast space between heaven and the world below. Blood from Uranus rained upon Gaia. Where each drop touched the earth, new beings emerged, the terrifying Furies, spirits of vengeance, the mighty giants, and the beautiful ash tree nymphs. Even the sea was transformed. As pieces of Uranus fell into the ocean, white foam gathered upon the waves. From that shimmering foam arose one of mythology's most beloved figures, a goddess of breathtaking beauty, Aphrodite, the future goddess of love. But while the universe celebrated the fall of one ruler, another had already begun his ascent. Cronus took the throne of the cosmos. The Titans hailed him as their king. The age of the Titans had begun. Peace, however, would not last, for as Uranus vanished into the heavens, he spoke one final prophecy. Cronus, you too shall fall. One of your own children will overthrow you, just as you overthrew me. Those words haunted Cronus. At first, he dismissed them. Then he feared them. Finally, they consumed him. The prophecy would transform the greatest Titan into one of mythology's cruelest rulers, a king so terrified of losing power that he would commit an act almost beyond imagination, an act that would set the stage for the birth of the greatest god in Greek mythology, a child named Zeus. The prophecy echoed through Cronus's mind like an endless whisper. One of your own children will overthrow you, just as you overthrew your father. At first he laughed. He had defeated Uranus, the mighty ruler of the heavens. No force in existence seemed capable of challenging him. The Titans bowed before his throne, and the universe entered what many later called the Golden Age. Rivers flowed peacefully, harvests never failed. Humanity, newly created according to some traditions, lived without disease, hunger, or war. To the world, Cronus appeared to be the perfect king, but inside, fear was growing. Every passing year made the prophecy feel more real. Every dream ended the same way, with a shadow rising against him. Power had given Cronus everything. Now it gave him something far more dangerous: paranoia. To strengthen his rule, Cronus married his sister, Rhea. Unlike Cronus, Rhea represented motherhood, fertility, and compassion. She dreamed of filling Olympus with laughter and children. Cronus welcomed the idea until the first child was born. As Rhea lovingly held the newborn in her arms, Cronus saw not an innocent child, but a future enemy. Without warning, he snatched the infant away. Rhea screamed. The Titans watched in horror. Then, before anyone could stop him, Cronus opened his mouth and swallowed the child whole. There was no battle, no hesitation. The child vanished into the darkness of his stomach. That first child was Hestia, the gentle goddess destined to rule the sacred hearth and family home. She disappeared alive into her father's body. Rhea collapsed in grief. Surely, she thought, Cronus had satisfied his fear. Surely he would never repeat such horror. She was wrong. Another child was born, Demeter. Cronus swallowed her. Then came Hera. She too disappeared into the darkness. Years passed. Another son arrived, Hades, the future king of the underworld. Cronus swallowed him without remorse. Soon after came Poseidon, master of the seas. He suffered the same fate, one after another. 5 divine children lived imprisoned inside their father's body, yet because they were immortal, they did not die. Instead, they remained conscious, trapped forever, unable to see sunlight, unable to grow, unable to escape. Cronus believed himself clever. He believed no prophecy could be fulfilled if his children never walked the earth. But every child he swallowed made him more fearful, because deep inside, he understood one painful truth. If prophecy had spoken once, it might already be unfolding. For Rhea, the grief became unbearable. Every birth ended the same way. Every lullaby became a funeral song. The halls of Olympus, once filled with hope, became silent. The goddess who embodied motherhood had become a mother with no children. Desperate, Rhea journeyed to Gaia, her own mother. She also sought the wisdom of Uranus, whose voice still echoed across the heavens. Together they devised a dangerous plan. The next child must survive, no matter the cost. Years later, Rhea became pregnant again. Cronus noticed the familiar signs. His anxiety returned immediately. He watched her constantly. Servants followed her everywhere. Nothing escaped his attention. But Gaia had already prepared everything. As the time of birth approached, Rhea secretly traveled to the island of Crete, far from the eyes of the Titans, far from Cronus's spies. Hidden within a deep mountain cave, surrounded by forests and cliffs overlooking the sea, she gave birth. The child was healthy, strong, bright-eyed. Even as an infant, legends say an unusual determination shone from his face. His name was Zeus. For the first time in years, Rhea smiled. But there was little time. Cronus would soon arrive demanding his newest child. Gaia quickly wrapped a massive stone in soft blankets, making it appear like a sleeping baby. When Cronus arrived, his face showed no emotion. He did not ask about the child. He did not congratulate Rhea. He reached out his hands. Rhea, hiding her tears, handed him the bundle. Without looking inside, Cronus swallowed it. The stone disappeared into his stomach. Satisfied, he left, believing the prophecy had once again been defeated. He never realized he had swallowed nothing more than cold rock. Meanwhile, the real child remained hidden inside the cave. The future king of Olympus had survived, but keeping Zeus alive would prove far more difficult than hiding his birth. The cries of a baby could travel across valleys. If Cronus heard even the faintest sound, the child would be discovered. So Gaia summoned unusual guardians. The nymphs of Crete cared for the infant. A divine goat named Amalthea fed him with magical milk said to grant extraordinary strength. Around the entrance of the cave stood the Curetes, fierce, armored warriors. Whenever Zeus cried, they struck their bronze shields with their spears. The deafening clash echoed through the mountains. Anyone listening would hear only the sounds of soldiers training. The cries of the future king disappeared beneath the thunder of bronze. Day after day, year after year, Zeus grew stronger. Unlike ordinary children, divine blood matured quickly. He climbed cliffs before most children could walk. He wrestled wild animals without fear. Storm clouds gathered whenever his emotions flared. Lightning flickered across the skies as though nature itself recognized its future ruler. Even as a boy, Zeus possessed remarkable wisdom. The nymphs noticed something unusual. He rarely asked about himself. Instead, he asked about the world. Who created the mountains? Why do rivers flow? Who rules the heavens? And most importantly, why did he have to remain hidden? Eventually, the truth could no longer be concealed. Gaia told him everything. She spoke of Uranus, of the Titans, of the prophecy, of the 5 brothers and sisters imprisoned alive inside Cronus. Zeus listened in silence. He learned how his father ruled through fear, how innocent children had been swallowed, how the universe itself groaned beneath a king terrified of losing power. When Gaia finished speaking, Zeus stood quietly at the entrance of the cave. Far below, waves crashed against the cliffs of Crete. Above him, storm clouds slowly gathered. For several moments, he said nothing. Then he spoke words that would change the fate of the cosmos forever. I will free them, not for revenge, not for glory, but because no kingdom built on fear deserves to rule forever, high above the island. The first great thunderstorm rolled across the sky. It was as if the universe itself had heard his vow. Far away on his throne, Cronus looked toward the darkening heavens. For reasons he could not explain, his heart began to race. The prophecy was no longer waiting. It was growing stronger with every passing day, and somewhere beyond his sight, the child destined to overthrow him had become a young god preparing for war.